Today we'll be talking about style and staging trends with Robin Levine, who is my stager friend and secret stager I send into my listings. So I just want to say hi. Hi, Robin.
Hi.
We've been bantering a little bit for those who came early, but here's what it is. I live stream at least once a month with expert speakers and leaders in real estate nationally. And here's what's cool about the live stream. You get to ask questions so you can find out your answers live, and you get to be in your jammies if you want. So well, from the waist down, right? Anyway, the truth is you don't need a ton of money or knowledge to get started as a real estate investor. You just need to know the right formulas and follow a system to be a smart investor. So I'm LeAnn Riley. I'm a real estate broker and a coach, and I lead the Encore investment team of realtors in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. And I built a multi-million-dollar portfolio in residential, multifamily, some condo development, commercial, and vacation properties. And they need staging for sure, vacation properties, don't they?
We have one in the presentation.
Oh, cool. Okay, so as a national coach and a trainer, I help ambitious people build wealth from real estate investing, and I do that with my proven profit formula coaching program. And I also provide a lot of free education, just like what we're going to have today. So I'm so glad you're here with us today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Robin now. She is an expert stager and a consultant, because stagers are consulting too. And she's the owner at Sorted Affairs Home Staging. Right, Robin? Mm-hmm. Okay. And she's in her home office where she works, right? But a lot of it's out on the street, but that's her office. Okay. And she helps you showcase your home in the best light. And her degree is in design, makes sense, and fine art. Mm-hmm. And those are a perfect match for what makes a house look the best. I know with COVID, people are thinking, what makes my house look the best? Because I'm stuck here. And she's going to share some tips about that too. How do you just revamp your own house? And she can work with what you already have too. That's important. And sometimes it's just a few additions to bring it up in style. And I think her pictures are going to show you some of those tips and tricks she has. And then I always want to tell you, how do I know Robin? Well, she's really good friends with one of my best friends. So I must have met you through her. I think I did. Yeah. And I've known her for a lot of years. And not only has she helped my clients with staging their houses, but she actually helped me too with my house when I sold my house the last time. And she's helped me shift my decor. One time she came over to my house to visit, and just her keen eye, it was about moving this one bookshelf, and it's now in my kitchen. It matches my cabinets. I never noticed that before. That keen eye of a stager can make a big difference. So just a couple logistics here. If you want to ask a question, look at the bottom of the screen and it says chat. So you would want to open your chat box, and that's where you're going to type your message. So just figure that out, okay? If you're on Facebook Live, I think I've got someone watching and they might put your question in for me, okay? Right, Abby? And we're going to try to answer all your questions, but just hang on, put them in the chat box and I'll get to it. And there is one thing, I want to take a poll here of who's listening. So I'm going to put something out right now on the screen and you can answer right here. Can you see it? Do you see it, Robin?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So just answer on there. What kind of a real estate investor are you, or what interests you? Oh, we got some buy and hold people. So just take a moment and vote. There you go. Oh, we got some fix and flippers. That's good, because staging is important when you're flipping a property. It's super important.
Yep.
And we got some hot, oh, we got a lot more. Look at all the categories are checking off here. This is kind of cool. We got some hot getting started people. Now I'm going to end the poll. We even got some realtors on here. That's a good thing too. I'm going to end this and it will share the results here. Our winning category is buy and hold. Can you see the results?
Yep.
Perfect. So buy and hold is the most people on here. All right, that's good because that helps Robin and I know who we're talking to. Okay. No, did I stop sharing?
Not seeing anything that yeah, it's not on the
Yeah,
screen.
now you can see us. Okay, perfect. Now we're gonna launch, let's see here. We did the poll. And now we're gonna launch into a PowerPoint here where Robin is gonna show us some before and after and teach us some things. So everybody ready? Let's see if I can pull it up nice and neat here. There we go. Do you see it?
Oh, there it is.
Okay, perfect. So this is there a black screen in the corner?
Not anymore.
Oh, okay. So here we go.
All right. Style trends and rehab secrets. I'm going to show you a few different things you can do, simple things to change, and hopefully you'll see some really great makeovers with very little that will show the houses off, show the houses off much better. First thing I want to talk about is the magic of a quart of paint, and it's not always a quart. Sometimes it's a little bit more. But it's really just the colors can make a huge difference. My bachelor's degree is in fine art and it was color theory. And when I graduated from college, I thought, I wish I could just spend the day picking out colors for people. And I am so fortunate that I get to do that now. And I love seeing the surprise from people when they go, wow, this bathroom doesn't look so boring anymore, or whatever it is. It's really kind of fun. And then lighting makeovers. Lighting can make a gigantic difference in how a room is presented. And hiding a hideous floor. Sometimes it's distracting from an ugly floor if there's no budget to put any new flooring in. And sometimes it's putting less expensive, and sometimes it's spending a lot of money and really upgrading the whole property. So let's do the next slide. Okay, so these are some things to transform with paint. And I think we can just go right into the slides of some of them.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, this was actually a property that LeAnn had on the market. And we went in to stage it, and it had they had redone a whole lot of stuff and painted everything, and they did a great job of it. But we went in and I saw that red brick, and I called her and I said, this has to be painted. And so it was painted the next day. And look at what a huge difference. We hadn't even completely, it wasn't like overly staged. It just has a few things in it. So this isn't like a grand staging photo, but it is a grand fireplace photo, and just showing the difference in painting out a fireplace that isn't attractive at all.
What a difference too. I mean, that looks updated compared to old and crummy.
Yeah.
And that's the one little tiny thing of paint.
Yep.
Okay.
This is a bathroom. This is a beautiful house. It's an $800,000 house, and this was the kids' bathroom. And we did a ton of other stuff to the house, but it was all in a low budget. So we didn't change the tiling or the floor on that. But what we did do, and I don't know if you can see it, very well, but we painted the vanity, put a new countertop in, so the sinks are under. But the countertop was a remnant slab from the countertop company, and we painted the lower part of it a dark navy-ish blue, and to go with the tile a little bit better, because the tile, the top slide, it's hard to see. It looks a little bit gray, but it actually is that blue that you can see in the lower part. And we didn't do anything else to it.
And that updated the whole bathroom and was cheap, right?
Yeah. Okay, this is one of my favorites. There are a few slides of this house in this presentation. that floor looked horrible. And the bathroom just looked really boring and kind of dowdy. And so, but this was also low budget, and he had that nice wainscoting on it, the beadboard around. So the only thing that really changed in here was the paint and the vanity. So the vanity is a really inexpensive vanity for a small bathroom. And you can see that the floor doesn't look as bad anymore now that the wall color is a little bit darker and a little bit more in style. And then he added that nice little towel rack. So much better. He thought he had to redo the whole bathroom, and he was really happy to find out that he didn't have to do the floor right then.
Yeah, and that blue just looks so much nicer. Yeah, I got it. And even down to the little blues, look at the little blue soap container.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, this is a house that was recently staged, and that's how I saw the house. And they weren't going to paint that bedroom, and I said, "You have to paint that bedroom." And sometimes this is probably a gallon of paint, but this is a 4-bedroom house, and with that bedroom being like that, it doesn't look like a kid's room. It looks like a junk room or a kid's room from 1985. And so they did listen to me. Actually, this was a great house. They did everything I suggested, and then we came in and staged it. And this is one of my favorite. I love the bedding because it just looks so fresh and happy. And then the color is one of my favorite staging colors. It's the two that I use the most, if anybody wants to write them down, are Sherwin-Williams Accessible Beige or Agreeable Gray. And which one I use depends on what the woodwork and the flooring look like. And this one was the Accessible Beige because the woodwork is a little bit more on the yellow side, and so it needed to be slightly more beige. Both of them are more of a taupe than a beige, so they both, or a beige or a gray, but they both look great.
That just blows my mind because it doesn't even look like the same room, like, oh my God, trying to sell a house when someone opens the door and sees that red compared to the beauty of the done product. And we're talking a gallon of paint and get the junk out of there. And wow.
Yeah, and this is lightly staged, but it looks so happy. This house, actually, I love this. It went on the market on a Thursday morning, and it was sold in multiple offers over the asking price Thursday night.
Wow.
And it was a $600,000 house. This is the same house. And the realtor had actually told them they didn't need to take off that valance and that room was fine. And I came in and went, not so much. And so they took everything out. We compromised. I let them keep the red I let them, like I have a control of everybody. But they kept the red in the bookshelf, and actually we made it work. You can't see it really well in the rug, but there's red in that rug. There's red in the book on the desk, and the pillow. This is really funny, but I was pointing this out to LeAnn earlier. The pillow actually pulls the whole thing together because the color in it is the color that's in the bookshelf. And they took down the valance, and they went to Target, and they spent $20 on those curtains. And it makes a big difference.
I think the furniture placement too, on the top one, I don't know if you guys can see my little mouse circling this desk shoved against the wall, and the way that you did the desk in the middle and that chair is so inviting. If someone comes into your office to talk to you, they can sit across from you.
Right. Yeah.
And the cleaned off bookshelves, look really cool too. You don't have to have something everywhere is what I see.
Yeah.
You even have empty ones, those top two.
We gave up.
Oh.
This was a lot of staging, and there were, we didn't have a stool to get up there. See, the other top shelves are the books that were there. So we couldn't, it was really hard to reach it. So, and we thought it looks fine, and nobody's looking up there. They're looking at how pretty it looks down below. So that's the other thing, is distract from the things that you don't want people to notice.
Interesting.
Okay, so speaking of refreshing your own house, this is my own living room. And the after obviously is the one in the lower picture. I've lived in my house for 30 years. And so the top one is actually what it looked like when I first moved in the 80s. And it was bad. But this didn't happen overnight. But I finally am at a point where I love the house. The reason I say this house isn't good for staging. I probably can't use hardly anything in my house for staging because it's a little too eclectic, arty. You have to make it a little bit more neutral. There's a really fine line between personality and too much personality. And the things in my house have too much personality for staging. But it was really fun for me to find this old photo and just see how far the room had come.
Well, we're back to that fireplace. It looks like you painted the hardware also in this one, right?
With the hardware where?
Well, like the fire right here, this.
Oh, yes. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's a really big deal. People have brass fireplaces and mine is a really old one from the 40s. And I didn't want to spend the money to put a whole new fireplace in because I'd rather put a gas fireplace in, but I didn't want to spend $6,000 on it. So I kept telling people I had read it somewhere to paint out the fireplace with it's matte black spray paint that's meant originally for grills and wood stoves, but it works beautifully on fireplaces. And so one day I looked at mine, I'm trying it on mine to see how it works. And it's been that way for about 5 years and I love it. It just updated instantly.
Oh yeah, that really made a difference. I see you've painted your woodwork too. You have, this is dark woodwork and you painted it all cream or something that brightened everything.
Okay, this is a clue for people who are going to stay in their house. For years, I looked at the woodwork, which is gorgeous quarter sawn oak. And but it was really dark and there are windows and doors everywhere in this room. And I mean, you can see the windows up above how dark it was. And I kept thinking, I can't paint it because the next person might love the woodwork. And one day I was sitting on my couch and I went, but I live here and I can't stand it. And so I painted it all and it made the room bigger and brighter and just feels better. So this is the, paint goes a long way. Also, the picture above, when I moved into the house, having white walls was really the style. And it looks so cold with all the dark. And so if you can see the color below, it's more of a, it's a more taupey kind of beige and it feels very warm. And I actually painted it probably 20 years ago and I still get compliments on it.
And you did, wow, 20 years ago. Interesting. And you got the velvet, this, like you said, this is a little bit of older style furniture. I can see that.
Well, that's very contemporary, actually. That's a crate and a room and board. But it's too bright to put in staging because for one thing, when you have bright things in a room for staging, your eye goes straight to it in the pictures. So if somebody's looking at the pictures on the MLS and they see a red chair, that's what they see. They don't see the room, they see the red chair. So that's a big thing for staging is making sure that you are enhancing the room, not just putting pretty things in it.
So are you saying, you really need to stick more neutral?
Yeah, but you can still do pops. You just don't we use a lot of golds and olive colors when we're staging because, just not really, really bright. And a lot of people are using blues and grays. And the reason blues and grays have stayed around so long is because most people like them. All right, so moving on to flooring. Simple flooring fixes. Luxury vinyl flooring, there's all different price points. So it depends on the level of the house and what you can do to make it look good. If it's a high end or if somebody's staying, if you're remodeling for living, lightening the floors with inexpensive planks because there have been very dark floors for a few years, and that's all going away because dark floors show every bit of dirt. And so everything is lightening up with that. Updated carpeting. And updated carpeting, their carpeting is really fun now. You can find all sorts of patterns and textures that look great, that aren't too taste specific. That's another big thing with staging, is you don't want to get too taste specific on things. Even though something's beautiful, it might be not, you're not capturing the biggest audience for selling. So I'd say that the lower pile is still the most popular, or it's become the most popular, you know, shorter pile. But that said, when you're trying to do things on a budget, doing bedrooms with just a basic, you know, medium pile, an inexpensive carpet, but not to get too cheap, because buyers are savvy these days, and they know when you've just taken, you know, gone to Home Depot and bought the cheapest carpet you can, and they're just going to go, ugh, like we have to redo this carpet. So it sounds like you're saving money, but you're actually not, because if you put decent carpet in, people know it, and they're going to appreciate it and be more likely to buy a house, and less likely to take it out and throw it out when they move in.
I have a question. Isn't the
Yeah.
pad important too under the carpet?
Yes, but when you're doing staging, you can get away with a less expensive pad. Pad's pretty inexpensive relatively, so sometimes it's better to put a nicer pad in. Okay, so this room, I love this. It's a 1.5-story house, and the person living in that bedroom that's up above is a college student. It was a bunch of college kids who lived in this house, and they moved out, and that flooring is really inexpensive. It's called Traffic Master, that they sell at Home Depot. And so they're, you know, linked together planks. It took the contractor who worked on it, he said it took him about 2 hours to put the whole floor in. This is not a floor that would stand up. You wouldn't want to put it in a kitchen that's going to get a lot of traffic, or a living room, unless you're just trying to sell it and it's a lower end house. But it made a gigantic difference, and it makes me happy just to look at the after picture. And we'll talk about the colors later.
It's totally different. And so this is that thin LVP, right? That's what you're saying, that really thin stuff that that I never had heard that, but you're right. Like, it could work in a bedroom, but not the kitchen or the high traffic area.
Yeah, and it would even be okay in a bathroom.
Ah, okay.
One of the nice things about it in a bathroom is it's relatively watertight. Okay. But you don't need to use glue on most of them. And okay, this is one of my favorites too. This is a 1-bedroom condo in a building that was built 40 years ago. And it was, those cabinets are cherry. It was really hard to paint them, but it was so dark. This building was built very, very well. So because of that, it was hard to take some of it apart, like the ceiling light. Even though it's a fluorescent light, we couldn't really take it out because we had a very low budget on this. So the light, we put new panels in the light, and the owner actually said, you know what, I don't mind it anymore. But I love the before and after on this, because you can see the only appliance we changed was the refrigerator, and we changed the floor and painted, and that was, and put a new faucet in. And it's a whole different kitchen. It probably, the realtor who sells all of the condos in this place said just doing what we did to the kitchen, which probably cost about, I'm guessing it was probably about $900. He said it probably added about $10,000 to the price of the condo.
You must know a cheap cabinet painter.
I do.
Yeah. Wow. You know what? That's another perk of stagers, you guys. They know where to get carpet, paint, you know, all these pieces. Okay.
I will tell you, this is very expensive flooring that's put in. It's got a cork core to it, so it's very soft. I mean, this is one of the more expensive ones, but this was going to be rental property. And the owner eventually wants to move in herself, but she bought it as an investment. And she said she wanted to have the better floor in, because it is going to get furniture moved in and out, and, you know, people she doesn't know doing things. So she thought it was worth spending the money for a good floor for a rental property. And she's probably going to rent it out for 5 to 10 years and then move in.
And is this the same countertops?
No, we actually did change the countertops. I forgot.
Okay.
We changed it to quartz, and we'll talk about countertops a little bit later.
Okay.
So this is the same condo, and it smelled like smoke. The woman who lived there was a chain smoker, and we thought we were going to have to fumigate it after everything was done and clean it really well. But she took the popcorn down in the room off the ceiling, and we got rid of the carpet and painted everything, and there was no smell. It was really amazing, because sometimes that can be really hard to get out.
Really hard.
But I love the way the floor looks. It changed it. This is another paint thing, even though we're not talking about paint yet. It's sort of subtle in these pictures, but the paint went from sort of a yellowy gold, you know, like more of a beigey gold color, and to more of a gray tone. And it looks so much softer and warmer.
Yeah, you can't quite see it in here, but that would go with the floor better.
Yeah. So these are some inexpensive lights that can really update. These are nice bathroom sconces, as opposed to some of the old ones that are more of like the cup kind of things. These look, they can update the bathroom really easily. And these are, I think both of these are probably in the $50, $60 range. So they're not expensive at all. And then I think the next one, if you can move to that, LeAnn. This is a $1.2 million house, and it's gorgeous. And you can see, we didn't want to change the character of the room, but that chandelier didn't do anything for the room. So I recommended they put in this drum shade chandelier, and she really fought me on it, but it was $100 on Amazon, and she put it in. She called me and she said, "I love this. I wish I'd done it 5 years ago." So it's, I mean, there's drum shades are really still the, I don't know if you guys know what I mean by a drum shade, but obviously it looks like a drum. So it's one of the, it has lasted, the style has lasted for quite a while, and you can find it for almost any situation. And it's going to be a good one for all generations. Younger people like it, and older people feel okay about it. This is another one this is actually the same house that had the red bedroom, and they changed this out to a simple, more contemporary. It's the same table. We changed the chairs and took off the top of the buffet in the back, or the china cabinet, and put a new light in, and it's a different room. And the other thing about lighting, chandeliers should not be as low as they used to be. Nobody really likes them low anymore. It's better to have it higher, and the room looks bigger and brighter.
I wouldn't have thought of taking the top of the buffet off, but absolutely, that makes it look old. And now with the picture above it, it looks in this century.
Yeah. And this is just simple staging. It's not anything fancy, because this isn't a really, really fancy house, but it shows the space. You know, taking the top of that, the china cabinet off, really opened up the room. This is another one of my faves. This one had a really ugly old chandelier in it. I didn't have a good before picture of it, but it looked like a farmhouse. And this is a $2.5 million house. So we needed to make it come into its price point. So that's what the this light fixture. This is a light fixture that can go in almost any house. It looks good over an island. It looks good in a casual dining area, or sometimes it even looks nice in a formal dining area. It also is really good as an entry light.
Well, and I think in this picture, the chairs make such a difference.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can do to upgrade.
The look.
And those chairs are not expensive chairs. Those are from Overstock, and they were $50 a piece.
You can buy those chair covers in any color too, right?
Yeah, these are just simple Parsons chairs. Okay, these are if you're just going to Home Depot and you need to get some lighting quickly. That light on the right has sort of replaced the dome light that was popular for years. And that one, it's not beautiful, but it's almost not noticeable. You know, it kind of fades into the background, which is fine when you're trying to just find a simple solution to getting rid of old lighting. Oh, whoops, sorry, my phone's ringing. I can't do anything. But the other thing I wanted to mention is the chandeliers in eating areas that are like in a casual dining area, like an eat-in kitchen. When there's a chandelier, I almost always these days tell people to take it out and put a flush mount or a semi-flush in, because that light will define where the table goes. And people's lifestyles are so different now that you don't know what they may want to use that as an office area. They may want to use it as a little play area for a toddler. And even if they don't, you don't know if they have a round table or a rectangular table. So if you take it out, it opens up the room and it allows people to do what they want with the room instead of defining it with a chandelier.
That's a great point. And a flush mount is cheaper.
Yep. Yeah, much. And this other light on the left is just a nice, that's really good for a small master bathroom, like the ones that were built, you know, in the 80s, where they put those tiny little master baths. And we're not supposed to call it a master bath anymore, but in that main, I don't know what you call it, but in that bathroom, this is a good small light that replaces those Hollywood lights and that kind of thing, and looks pretty, and it doesn't look cheap when it's put in, but it is. These are if you need something a little bit fancier, do something. Crystals are very popular these days, or, you know, a little bling.
And that one is like the one above the mirror. Is that like a bathroom?
Yes, and I'll tell you, I should have mentioned this. That I'm not sure if this one is, but there's a really cool product out there. If you Google vanity light covers, those Hollywood lights that are just the bulbs that go over, they now make grates that go over those things that it's quick fix, because they make them in all different patterns, and so it's just a grate that the lights show through, but you've got this kind of look where it can look really pretty, and it takes like 4 or 6 screws and that's it.
So you don't have to replace the whole fixture,
right?
Just the front covering.
Yeah, they only make it for, I think, 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5. I'm not sure if they do 5, but it's just for the smaller ones.
Nice.
Yeah. And this is a fun one. If you're doing like a bedroom and you just want to replace it, IKEA, I'm not sure if this is an IKEA, but IKEA does some really nice flush mounts that are kind of fun without a lot of investment. And this would look nice in a master bedroom, or even in a girl's room. It would look really cute. And there's that light that I said works everywhere.
Yep.
Or it's similar. That one's a little bit different. And then that's an outside light that's very inexpensive. I've been looking at outside lights for my own house, and this one I think was about $50 or something, and it has a lot of style to it. Few more, just ideas. And I guess the main point of this is you don't have to spend a lot to update your lighting.
Where's your favorite lighting stores?
Well, I would say, and I don't know if they've got them in other parts of the country, but Menards would be in the Twin Cities. My favorite one is Southern Lights.
Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah. Okay, so this is an update for somebody that was going to live in the house. This is fun. The guy who lived here hated that bedroom set. It was his parents, and he didn't want to get rid of it because his parents come to stay once in a while. So, so I said, I think we can work with it, and we just got new bedding, and we didn't even paint the walls. We put different. We used art. That's not the ideal art, but it was what he has. And so he bought that. The bedding was about $100, and the rug was, I think, 120, and it changed the whole room.
A lot.
This is a simple way to make a room look great.
Totally. And he could still keep his mom and dad's furniture. They can come anytime they want, and he could actually enjoy the room.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Okay, what's hot in color? I like to warn people that don't go with colors of the year, because every paint company and Pantone all have their colors of the year, and they're all different. And some of them are orange and some of them are blue. So, and sometimes I'm with a bunch of other designers or stagers who, we find out what a color is, and it's like, really? I wouldn't use that anywhere. But it's a marketing tool. It's, how are you going to sell something fun? And then it gives them something to use for magazine photos and things online that, Pinterest kind of stuff. It's like hot pink. Well, okay. For staging, you never want to use really trendy colors. For living, it's a whole different thing. But the trends for staging colors are still really neutral. Can probably go to the next slide. I think it's, this is what's going in, what's going out, what's coming in. Cool grays are going out everywhere. Being in the Midwest, it's going out a little bit slower than it has other places, except in Minnesota, it's cold in the winter, and cool grays make it look cold in the room. So it's better to go with a taupe color, which, if you aren't familiar, taupe is a combination of a gray and beige, and or a grayish. And it works with almost everything. It's, that's been around for a while, and it's not going away. Accent walls, and particularly bright or dark accent walls. We'll see that in the slides. I'll show you that later, but a blush of color on the walls. So it's okay to add, I think the main rooms, it's still good to do a neutral color, but having a little bit of a color in a bathroom or a kitchen really gives it a little bit of personality. But if you don't want it too much. Dark cabinets are not popular anymore. They make everything feel smaller and cramped and heavy. And dark floors, I mentioned before, people have been moving away from dark floors because you see every bit of dirt and every scratch. Same thing with dark countertops. They don't do anything to lift the room. Once in a while you can get away with it, and if you're doing decorating for somebody that absolutely wants it. In the what's coming in, light pastel accessories are more and more popular. Pinks and blushes, I would say, are still popular for bedrooms and maybe a sitting room or something like that. Painted front doors are, to me, they're almost an absolute. When you're selling a house, having a painted color it's actually a big feng shui thing, is calling good energy to your house. And so I think it really does it. I mean, if you compare two houses and one has a red door and one doesn't, you're much more likely to go to the one with the red door. People are painting some really fun colors on doors, and I think that's okay for staging. In my neighborhood, which is pretty urban, there's one street near me that there are three or four yellow doors, and they're all different yellows, and it's actually kind of fun. And the houses are more of like whites or grays. And then there's one that's a teal door, and they add a little levity to the house and a little they're just fun and happier.
That's so interesting because I just listed a house. It's pending right now. And they asked me about the door color.
Mhm.
And the woman wanted to paint it super bright yellow. And the siding is a little bit taupe vanilla kind of color. And I'm not a yellow fan. So I'm thinking, I don't know. But the next time I came over, she won. And the front door was bright yellow. And it added this whole big pop instead of a white door.
People are looking at a lot of houses, or hopefully they're looking at a lot of houses. And if you have a choice between them, you always feel like picking the one that's a little different and a little more interesting.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And then light gray cabinets. Oh, whoops.
Oh,
light
okay.
gray cabinets are really becoming more popular too. They have been for a few years, but instead of just doing everything white, like in a kitchen or mainly in a kitchen or even a laundry room, to do something that's got a little bit of a color to it or a little gray is nice. And two-tone is nice too, to do the bottom cabinets a different color from the top cabinets.
So when you say dark cabinets are out here, you're talking espresso brown cabinet.
Yeah, or even the one I showed you, the kitchen, the condo, the dark cabinets, they were beautiful wood, but they're not going to sell a place.
Right. They're cherry, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. This is a house that, this was what the one on the left is what the house looked like when he bought it. And then when I came in, and it's hard to tell, but the walls have been painted. But this is another one where, a few changes make a master bedroom look like a master bedroom instead of a spare bedroom that you have your old computer in.
You know what I noticed? You do a lot of angle rugs instead of the rug straight at the bottom.
Yeah, it gives it more personality.
Yep. Yeah, you did that at my house. You angled my living room furniture. I'd lived there 8 years and never, ever had I had it that way. And I changed it a lot. And it was such a difference.
Okay, so you guys have seen this room before, except this one doesn't have the furniture in it. But this was mainly about the accent wall, getting rid of it, and how much nicer it looks without it. Accent walls have a place, but this wouldn't be it.
Especially a small spot like that. It's just like a sore thumb, right?
I think accent walls are best in very large rooms. And
not that one either.
No. And they were going to try to sell. This was a house that had been totally redone. This was a while ago, and they redid the floors to be dark. But you can see how much better the color looks, just lightening it up to a more neutral and adding just a few things to stage it. I mean, that's all that was in it. And the room is actually a bedroom. Yeah, I joke that it's the maid's room because it's off the laundry room. But we made it into a little office. It's on the first floor, and the rest of the bedrooms are all on the second floor. So just making it into it also had that door to the outside. So it's not really a bedroom. It's an office.
Definitely. And boy, does it look better, even with the dark floor, like you said.
Yeah. Kitchen and bath trends. Those change all the time. That's the other thing I did today. I went to the tile shop, which is so much fun just to get ideas. They have such a nice variety, and tiles they're all over the place now. They're patterned, they're different colors. You can have a lot of fun with them, but not for staging. So yeah, well, let's go through the slides on this one, because it'll be sort of, okay, so I left the slide in, but it's mainly to say, don't put vessel sinks in. Nobody likes them once they're in. They look really nice, but they're hard to clean, and they splash, and they're they're just not worth it. And you don't have as much room. If those sinks were lower, it's easier to wash your face instead of, because you've got more room if it's lowered. So no vessel sinks.
Kids make
your
a
own house.
big mess at vessel sinks too. Kids,
Yeah.
just doesn't work for them.
No, and it gets really dirty around the base and it's hard to clean. And this is, I love the one on the right because it's so poorly done. It's good in theory, but the mirror is almost bigger than the vanity. And, if the vessel sinks are okay, I don't even know why this is in, except I don't like it. It's a good example of what not to do. But, the tile in it is really pretty. If there was a different vanity in there, a bigger vanity, it could look really nice. The one up above is a good example of a trend that I like, which is doing this is for obviously a contemporary bathroom, but doing the suspended vanity is really nice. It's really easy to clean under there and it looks nice, and you can put baskets under it if you want to store things. But I also like the one mirror for two sinks because it's not a huge vanity. And people like having a big mirror. So even though the trend has been to have two mirrors, there's also it's also okay to have a large mirror now. And we're moving away from having to do two mirrors. These are just some styles that are classic and are popular. The furniture look and having it, up on legs has been very popular and still is. And
they look taller too. I'm seeing that more.
Oh, yeah, we had talked about that. I looked up what the standard vanity height is, and it used to be 32, and 32 is still okay. But now if like 36 inches is probably more, it's more counter height kind of thing, because that's where most people are comfortable not having to bend over as far to get to brush their teeth or wash their face.
Interesting. And now in a bathroom, I see this dark on here, and that's okay, right?
Yes. And look at everything else on it. The countertop is light.
Yep. Like this one.
The difference. Yeah. So this one, I like this picture because those mirrors are way too small. And so it just is a good way to bring up. Those mirrors should be about twice the size that they are. You don't need to have a lot of room in between the light fixtures. And actually, it's probably almost better not to, because if you have the light fixtures close to the mirrors, it'll reflect the light a little bit better. If you're putting on makeup or trying to fix your hair, it's better look. But these are also way too high. If you were standing at that vanity, you'd probably see from your nose up. So not good. The other one, on the other hand, over to the left is a nice example of doing, that one's divided. It's got medicine cabinets, but having one mirror across that, and that's a much better size. So this is one of my favorite things. This is it's not a job I did, but it was a better picture than the ones I have. This is putting a frame around an existing mirror, and what a difference it makes. It's, you can update the mirror and make a dated huge mirror look much better. It's really fun because there's a company, if you want to do it, there's a company called Mirror Mates, and they are they're probably the premier people that do it. I mean, there may be other companies I'm not aware of it. I've only used Mirror Mates. And they have all different styles. And then you measure the mirror, you tell them how big it is and which style you want, and they send it with instructions. And I've never put it together. I have a contractor that does that for me, but it looks great.
Looks a lot. It updated everything.
Yeah.
And you know what else? A lot of times what I see in houses like this, those mirrors might have some chips and some scum along the edge. And
yeah,
you could cover that up with that.
Absolutely.
So it's good for a rehab.
Yeah. Okay, let's appliances, cabinets, countertops. Okay, wait, no, go back. I mean, go forward.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is another update. This would be great for a flip. It wasn't being flipped, but it could be. What changed in here, you can see he didn't change the appliances out, but painted the cabinets, painted the walls, and put a new floor in and a new counter. And there's very little counter in there, but he actually got more counter because he was able to put a little bit more of a lip. And as LeAnn pointed out, they built out, you can see where the stove is in the before. And they just had a little shelf there. And instead, the cabinet guy just built a simple cabinet. There's actually shelves underneath it. It's not a cabinet. And so there's pots and pans that are just on open shelves. And then he got a whole lot more counter out of it. And this is, yeah, it made the whole kitchen look bigger and nicer.
Well, what I like is even the white appliances don't look bad all of a sudden. Before
Right.
it was like, oh no, we got a problem. And now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it looks okay.
This is also a good example of a little blush of color that makes it look much nicer.
Yeah.
And this is another house that LeAnn and I were both involved in. This is a flip, and he did an amazing job. I mean, everything was done. It didn't change the layout of the kitchen. He just painted and put in new appliances. He just did everything except put in new cabinets. But this, the amount of money that this added, the bottom line on this was probably gigantic.
Yeah, he did really well. He did a huge flip on this house, but he did well.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous compared to the original house.
And isn't he a retired engineer or something?
Yeah.
And so he's not a designer, but he told me that he just went online, he looked at all sorts of trends and just followed it. So that's, the formula. Look at what is popular now and get it. The granite that he has in there, granite is actually less expensive than quartz is right now for countertops. And it's not as in style, but if you buy it's cheaper, and if you get the right one that looks pretty neutral, it still looks really nice, and it's still a lot nicer than the countertops that were there. So this is a good example of doing contrasting colors. When I was talking about doing different colors on the upper and lower cabinets, this is a similar kind of thing, but it's a little bit different. And putting the dark countertops in here, I wouldn't have done the whole thing in dark countertops, probably just the island part of it. But it just adds so much interest to, if this was all one color, it could be kind of a little bit boring, but it's not the way that they did it, because they use different colors.
I just don't get these kitchens, Robin, just, because like, come on, where's cabinets up above? Like, I just don't get it. Having that stuff sit out and gather dust, I'm just not there.
I'm with you, but it is a trend to have open shelving, because
it looks pretty, but
yeah,
I'm
exactly
not there.
Yeah. And this is another example of two tones. This was a redone house that they left the original cabinets on the island.
Oh.
And so even though it's a little dated, I mean, they were dated cabinets, it doesn't look as dated now that the other cabinets were painted.
It doesn't. You're right. I didn't even notice they left the original until you told me.
Yeah. They were trying to spend very little money on this house. So adding and this was actually, it was a flip. And they did a few things that I think are a little too artsy, but it gave it some pizzazz too. Doing the dark blue is not something that's going to be everybody's taste, but it really added some drama. And this was an expensive house, so it was a way of updating it without spending a lot. And this was moving away from granite. This is actually this is a quartz countertop, and quartz is still the #1 countertop these days, because you don't have to do anything to it. You don't have to seal it. It cleans really well. You can put really want, you don't want to put like boiling hot on it, even though I have on mine. But you can put a hot something on it and it's fine. It's pretty indestructible, and they make it in so many different finishes. The other ones that are popular now are stainless steel, concrete, butcher block, and soapstone. Soapstone was just sort of dormant for many, many years, and it's coming back because it's kind of a fun, it damages, but it gets a patina. So even if it gets a chip in it, it still looks nice because it's all the way through. It's not like, I don't know how to explain it, but it does have a, sometimes people oil it to make it look a little bit more interesting. Butcher block is interesting because that was popular in what the early 80s was really popular. But people aren't doing their whole countertop in butcher block usually. It's inexpensive. It is, you can replace it fairly easily, and usually what people are doing now is using it for part of the kitchen. Just, one little spot that's got butcher block. Okay, so the appliances, the three that are big are slate, stainless steel, and black stainless steel. Slate is really pretty, but the only people that make it are General Electric, so you have to want a General Electric product or not mind it. Black stainless steel is pretty, but it's very dark, and that's why I put the picture in. So for flipping, for staging, for selling a house, stainless is still the way to go.
Plain old regular stainless.
Yeah, I wanted it to go out of style about 10 years ago, but it didn't.
I thought black is rather popular, but you're right. There with those dark cabinets, I don't like it.
Oh, the other problem with black stainless steel is if you scratch it, there's nothing you can do about it. It
Yeah.
shows. All right, staging vacant homes. These are not necessarily high-end homes that I'm showing you, but it shows you how much better they look just with a little bit of staging. So this is a flip. The homeowner wanted this to be a little sitting room, and it's like, no, somebody wants a place to eat. And so because it was a small area, we put in a table that was very airy with very airy chairs. So that's why it's a glass table. And we were able to put 4 chairs in, and then you've got an eating area. He also wanted that back room to be something, I don't know what it was, but we made it into a little office. It's very cute. This is the one I was saying is a vacation property. The man who bought this had owned a bunch of apartment buildings and decided to get into Airbnb. So he sold one of his apartment buildings and bought this little house that's 2 bedrooms and some space in the basement that he put a egress window in. So we didn't change much about the house because it was in good shape. It was just dated. But you can see like the floor was really ugly. So we put a rug there. Just went to and the tables from IKEA, and so are the chairs. Most of the accessories are from IKEA because this had to be done in a week. We went to the furniture store and picked out that furniture in an hour and a half for the entire house. So after we put it together, he said, I should have painted the walls. And I said, yes, but it's okay. You can do it later. The artwork was from a store that was going out of business, and it's not anything gorgeous, but it's an Airbnb. So that kind of thing gets stolen, not very often, but it gets wrecked. So it wasn't worth doing much about. The bedroom, the bed, I don't know where he got because he bought that, but the bedding and the rug and everything else is from IKEA too. And it works beautifully. The mattresses at IKEA are supposed to be very, very comfortable. So, but you can see what a big difference it is. This is a staged little tiny house. It's a 1-bedroom house. And that's the only before picture I have is when they were still working on it. And a week later, that's what it looked like with the staging. So even though it's a little house, we were able to make it look cozy.
Cozy counts.
Yep. And then this was a sunroom originally, and we made it in because there was no dining area in this tiny house. We made it into a breakfast room instead.
Yeah, nice. Nice and airy.
And then this is in that house that that I said was with the glass table that we just saw. And I have the slide in because the owner who was flipping the house said we wanted to put lockers and we didn't have time to do it because it's got to be on the market. And so I said, we'll do something with it. We just, my fellow stager grabbed her daughter's boots and raincoat, and I just, we just threw stuff in there. And I love the way this turned out, just to show somebody that it is a mudroom. So even though it didn't become a real mudroom when it was supposed, I mean, eventually they think they did put a mudroom in for the new buyers, but we were able to make it work.
Okay.
And that's that.
We're coming up on the hour, but I'm still I got a lot of people hanging on. So quick, put your question in. You got any questions for Robin? And I see Jeannie put in for you in the chat box. I have a Facebook group and it's right there in the chat box. And it's LeAnn Riley's Real Estate Investing Facebook group. It's cool to go in there. I've got, in fact, this presentation will be live in there, but there's a lot of tips and tricks in there. And any questions? Come on, I'm looking and nobody, you must have covered it all, Robin.
I covered a lot.
Because I got a lot more people on here and they're still here. So that is really cool. The one other thing I want to say to you folks is, let me see here. How do I do this? I got one more thing to share here. I want to give you the contact information for Robin. Where is it?
Not the contact, it's
right there. Can you see it? Nope, not there, not there, there. Can you see it?
And please feel free to get in touch with me if you have some questions. I'm happy to give you some ideas of, a quick answer. And, if it's something you need a color for something, shoot me a picture and I can even, give you a color to put. See, I like to pick out colors.
One of the other things I want to say about Robin is she also, if you, you can do, I'll call it virtual staging, but there's two definitions. She can do a virtual consult. I told the story earlier today how I had a room, and it was actually when COVID started, my exercise room, and I just was tired of it. Okay. It didn't look right. I had moved it into the family room and it didn't look right. And I got on the Zoom call and then I showed it. And then someone else's eyes could tell me what to change. Move that picture, move that bench, and boom. And so that's the kind of virtual consult that you can do, right, Robin?
Yeah.
Look over Zoom at their house and tell them what they need to fix.
When we were all on lockdown, I did many virtual consultations telling people what they needed to do, picking out colors. Even like I walked around with Zoom and with FaceTime on many calls and just gave ideas of what could be done. And, it's really fun, actually.
Okay, we do have a couple questions here. How about this? We're stuck using brown wood laminate cabinets. What color countertops?
I would do an off-white with that because you don't want to do white. It'll just make it look. It depends. Are you using laminate countertops or a stone? If you're using a stone, I would do something that's got a little bit of a mottled, like more of a mix of colors. Otherwise, I would just do, if you're doing a laminate countertop, I would do something that's got more of an off-white kind of feel to it.
She says, perfect, thanks. What are the tile trends for bathrooms? What's going on? Is it subway tile or what is it?
Well, I picked out glass subway tile this morning. It's all across the board with tile. There's so many so it's hard to say. If you want to make sure that you're safe, if this is a flip or it's a bathroom, the reason we went with Subway in the bathroom I was picking out for today is because she's going to sell it in a few years, and she wanted it to be classic. And so we went with Subway tile because Subway tile has never ever gone out of style, particularly the white.
Yeah.
It's what you put with it. The floor tile might change, but if you put a vinyl floor in, I mean, if you put a luxury vinyl floor in, that can be changed fairly easily. So, so if you're thinking it might be changed, don't put a tile floor in, but put a vinyl floor in and just do a simple Subway.
Okay. What about this one? In staging an Airbnb, don't you want to provide an upscale look?
It depends on it's in an Airbnb. Yes, this was the reason this one, the one that I showed you, wasn't like really upscale. It was comfy and it was stylish, but it's a 2-bedroom little house in a middle class neighborhood. So it's there. This is not like a big fancy place. If you're in Myrtle Beach, you might want to, yes, you would want to do an upscale. But the thing is, it's going to get a lot of use. So you want to make sure that you've got good, sturdy furniture that looks nice. And I think the way to make it upscale without spending a ton of money is to make sure you have really, and that's not what I showed you, but to have really beautiful bedding, things that, and beautiful bedding, you can find it on Amazon for almost, I have an organic cotton duvet cover on my own bed that I spent $50 on from Amazon. So you can find really great bedding at very low prices.
We got I'm keeping us over the hour, but it's because this is so darn interesting, and everybody's sticking around. So the question is, do you recommend hiring professionals to paint your kitchen cabinets, or is it something you could do?
You can do it, but it's a ton of work. It's really messy and it takes a long time because you really have to prep it right. And so the professionals are going to have the equipment to do that. And they will spray the instead of painting it with a brush or a roller, you want to spray it. And so usually they can do that pretty quickly.
Okay. And now they're all full of questions. You were suggesting the LVP might not be the best for a kitchen because of the high traffic, but doesn't.
Oh, no, not all. I'm saying the cheap LVP should be used in a kitchen. If it's a kitchen that's going to be used a lot, if it's rental property, if it's a flip, you could put a little bit less expensive in, but if it's a higher end house or something, you really need to have good LVP in a kitchen.
One other thing, I just know this because I know Robin, if you need carpet, she has, she sells carpet.
And LVP also.
Okay, because you know where to get it, and they can source it for you. Stagers, they have those connections. A lot like us realtors, we have connections too for handyman and all that kind of stuff, but not so much carpet. Like I just that's more somebody like her would have those type of vendors. Or I know I was looking for lighting for my house, and then I just asked my stager friends, okay, where do I go look for that? And they just know which stores. Oh, go over here.
Mm-hmm. Well, the with carpet and all, with flooring, I should say, I started selling flooring because people would go to Home Depot and have a poor experience, and they'd order it, and then Home Depot would say, oh, it'll be 6 weeks. Well, we can get carpet for you the next day if the installer is available. So what I do is I mark it up enough to cover my time instead of trying to make a living off of selling flooring. So I do it as a service is really how I look at it.
That makes sense. I like what Jackie says. All Airbnbs that are staged or cute are booked faster. And that is so much. If you just kind of have your old leftover furniture in there, Hey, they can see that online. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And they're going to pick the other one. I got a cute Airbnb story. I stayed in an Airbnb in Santa Fe one time, right near the central city, so we could walk, and we picked it. And I know they stood on a ladder and took those pictures, because when we got there, we were like, huh? But they, in the kitchen, you guys will love this. They had 132 paint colors in there, and they had a board with each like swatch, and they wanted us to guess where each one was. It was like a little game you played at this Airbnb.
Oh, funny.
Can you imagine 132 tones? It was everywhere. Every wall was a different color. It was amazing.
Ugh.
So I was
I
like,
was going to mention that Airbnb that I staged, that has been booked constantly for a year and a half.
so this
And
guy,
a lot of the comments, even though it's not like super, beautiful, a lot of the comments have been, it was so nice to have a comfortable, up to date place to stay.
up to date. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's really important too. Exactly. Okay. One last thing I just want to say, you can, if you want to talk real estate with me, you can always book a free strategy session. And then, we're available to help you buy, sell, or invest. So thank you everybody for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's really great. Thank you, Robin, for giving us all those tips. It makes me want to do some decorating.
I'll help.
Yeah, I can call you up. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.